Hello again, everyone. My name is Calvin Bonenberger Jr., and I'm the town administrator for the town of Rising Sun. Welcome to the second video in our comprehensive plan, zoning code changes and updates video series. The town recently drafted two separate ordinances that will make changes to the town zoning code if they are adopted by the mayor and commissioners. In an effort to provide additional information and clear up a few misconceptions, the mayor and commissioners have asked me to provide a video presentation and to offer greater clarity and a better understanding of what these changes will entail and how they can positively affect the community at large. This is not an easy task, however, because there is a significant and comprehensive legislative framework of laws and regulations in place that outline and define the concepts of zoning codes, why they are required, what their purpose is, and how they are developed. In order to understand these proposed zoning changes, I believe it's important to provide you with some background on that legislative process. However, instead of having one long presentation, I feel it might be best to break the concepts into four individual series of videos titled, "What is a comprehensive plan? Why is it required? And how does it affect the town?" The purpose and benefits of zoning districts and the creation of zoning maps. But if you just want a summary of the two ordinances in question, you can also go right to the last two videos titled A Summary of Ordinance 2022-01, Amending and Creating Zoning Districts, and A Summary of Ordinance 2022-02, Comprehensive Rezoning Phase 1. Feel free to view any and all videos as you see fit, but I would recommend that you start with video 1, followed by videos 2, 3, and 4. My hope is that you will find these videos informative while also answering any questions or concerns you might have on the process. If you should have some questions about the videos or need more information on the ordinances, please email me at tabonenberger@risingsunmd.org. And as a quick reminder, the mayor and commissioners will be holding a public hearing to discuss these changes on Tuesday evening, March 22nd at 7 p.m. The meeting will be held at the Community Fire Company of Rising Sun, located at 300 Joseph Biggs Memorial Highway. Okay, so hopefully you've already watched video 1. So let's get into the second video in the series, which is titled The Purpose and Benefits of Zoning Districts and the Creation of Zoning Maps. We learned in video 1 titled, What is a Comprehensive Plan? Why is it required? And how does it affect the town? That the state is essentially charging the town with the responsibility of developing a plan, a comprehensive plan, that outlines policies and goals for private and public land use that addresses specific elements set forth by the state and determined to be critical and vital to ensuring the coordinated, adjusted, and harmonious development of the town. The plan is a collection of recommended policies, regulations, and standards that are developed to shape the community, provide its identity, and help it to achieve the goals that most benefit the community at large. But how does a community initiate the recommended policies and goals of the comprehensive plan? The answer to that question can be found in the annotated code of the state of Maryland, which is essentially the state code or laws of the state. So let me share my screen for a second, and we'll go to that website that has the state code. When you get to the website and on the home page here, we're going to click on the land use article. If you recall in video 1, we talked about the fact that the things related to planning, zoning, and comprehensive plans can be found in the land use article. The town of Rising Sun is a single jurisdiction, so we're going to click on that. And then we're going to go to Title IV zoning. And then we're going to go to powers. And then we're going to go to a statement of policy. And when we get there, we're going to see that the state code has a planning and zoning controls heading that says it is the policy of the state that the orderly development and use of land and structures requires comprehensive regulation through the implementation of planning and zoning controls, and planning and zoning controls shall be implemented by local governments. The controls that are referenced in the law take the form of various building, zoning, and land development codes, We're going to focus on the zoning code, which is the genesis of the ordinances that the mayor and commissioners are considering and the focus of discussion for the upcoming public hearings. So let's go back to the state website, and we're going to go to designation and adoption, and we're going to go to zoning regulations adoption purposes. And on this page, you're going to basically see that the law says the legislative body shall adopt zoning regulations and in accordance with plans. However, what I'd like to do is summarize that because there's a lot of information here. So in summary, having already established a plan, the state is authorizing the town to adopt zoning regulations in accordance with the town's comprehensive plan and with reasonable consideration for, among other things, the character of the district or zone, its suitability for particular uses, and with a view to conserving the value of property and encouraging orderly development and the most appropriate use of land. To further achieve the objectives of the plan, the zoning regulation shall be designed to control street congestion, promote health, public safety, and general welfare, provide adequate light and air, promote the conservation of natural resources, prevent environmental pollution, properly manage growth and development, and promote or facilitate adequate transportation, water, sewage, schools, recreation, parks, and other facilities. So if the comprehensive plan in spirit is designed to ensure good things for the community, then zoning codes are one of the tools used to ensure that those good things actually happen. Without them, unintended negative impacts can arise as a result of unregulated development and growth. The residents of this community are very familiar with the negative impacts of traffic, narrow streets, inadequate parking, and pedestrian hazards. Our community is still dealing with the impacts of aging infrastructure and overdevelopment that resulted in inadequate water and sewer utilities. Once the zoning code and all its policies and standards are set forth and adopted, our community must then create zoning districts that define and establish the individual policies, regulations, and standards that are germane to those specific areas. It's important to clarify that the regulations set forth for development and land use are not a one-size-fits-all. As a general statement, zoning districts encompass and collect similar uses of land in a geographic area and coordinate the proper sequencing of those lands. Let's say that a different way. Land is essentially classified two ways in the zoning code. The first being the density or number of structures placed upon the land. Example, 1 house per acre, 2 or 3 houses per acre, or 4 houses per acre, and so on. The second classification of land is based upon the intensity of which the land is being used, such as the activities that are typical for a particular type of business or commercial operation. Let's give an example. A business such as an accounting office is generally viewed as a low-intensity land use versus a restaurant being viewed as a moderate-intensity land use and a factory or distribution center being viewed as a high-intensity land use. In short, areas of the town set aside to be identified as residential neighborhoods will define specific zoning districts as low, medium, and high density, and cluster those similar densities together. Likewise, commercial and industrial uses will be steered towards zoning districts that are defined as low, medium, and high intensity uses, and they will cluster those land uses together as well. Furthermore, to achieve orderly development and use of the land, the town can determine best land use practices based upon specific criteria such as land type, intensity of use, size of lots, density of lot coverage, building height, and size. This criteria is then considered in relationship to characteristics of the adjacent property, compatibility of other uses in the vicinity, and with a view of conserving neighboring property values. The goal here is to achieve a coordinated, adjusted, and harmonious development of lands that are compatible and complementary with each other. When thinking about the use of land, the variety of ways land can be developed and used can be very broad. There's a presumption that all legitimate legal uses of land in a community are provided for within at least one zoning district in the community's planning jurisdiction. That is why communities will have a list of permissible uses, but it's difficult to make the list all-inclusive and may need to be updated from time to time. It is generally understood that the listed uses shall be interpreted liberally to include other uses that have similar impacts to those that are listed. It is also important to understand that uses may not be permitted in certain zoning districts, while other uses may be permitted in multiple zoning districts. In addition, based upon the application of the criteria that we discussed previously, some uses may be permitted outright, while other uses may only be permitted with conditions or upon a special exception approved by the town's zoning appeals. Although the community is generally required to provide for a diverse and inclusive list of permissible land uses, there are some uses that, based upon activities related to their land use, are considered non-compatible in certain geographic areas. Activities such as excess traffic, truck deliveries, noise, odors, and hours of operation can be evaluated through the spectrum of the criteria listed above, such as the characteristics of the adjacent properties, compatibility of other uses in the vicinity, and potential negative impacts on neighboring property values. Said quite simply, zoning districts and tables of permissible uses ensure the gas stations don't end up in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And heavy industrial and intense manufacturing businesses don't operate next to residential homes. The final step in the process is to capture the designated zoning districts and put them on a map. They are put on the map and they are depicted as colored polygons on what is called a zoning map. So let's take a look at the town's current zoning map. And what you see here on the screen is the town's zoning map. For references here, the black circle in the middle is actually Town Hall right in the middle of town. So over here on the left, you're going to see a ledger that has some various zoning districts that are identified, and they have colors associated with them. So when you look at the overall zoning map, you will see these different colors throughout the community. Those represent residential, low residential, medium residential, high density residential, so forth and so on. So that's what a zoning map looks like. So in summary, zoning codes ensure that the objectives of the town's comprehensive plan, the town's business plan, if you will, are in place for continued success and are met. I think it is important for everyone to understand the clear intent of our comprehensive plan. The plan was adopted with the intent of providing a guide for the coordinated and adjusted and harmonious development of the town, while maintaining and preserving the rural character of the Rising Sun region, and to define best practices for promoting healthy safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, and general welfare. Essentially, we are talking about orderly development and land use, which is implemented by way of the development, adoption, and updating of zoning codes as needed. We believe the proposed zoning changes contained in the two ordinances will strike a healthy balance between landowners' rights for development and the use of their land versus the rights of other property owners and the use of their respective lands also. People call Rising Sun and the greater Rising Sun region home because they love the charm and the rural character and the nature of the region. The Planning Commission and the elected body have attempted to propose changes from the perspective of setting up the town that we all love for long-term sustainability and the ability to continue to provide efficient, effective quality of life services for our residents. So there you have it. This concludes the second video in our zoning code and comprehensive plan video series. I truly hope that I have been able to shed some light on the zoning codes and zoning maps. I hope that you have a better understanding of the relationship between various land uses and how zoning codes ensure that our community maintains its identity and character. Perhaps the initiatives and intent of the proposed changes will now make more sense and provide you with the resources needed to reach informed decisions regarding the proposed ordinances. As always, please check out videos 3 and 4 of this series, which will provide a summary overview of each of the proposed ordinances. And as always, we thank you for your interest in these matters, and please contact me if you have any questions or concerns.